We are live at Studio B. This is your day-to-day BYU Sports play-by-play. I am Spencer Linton, co-hosting with Jarom Jordan.
Ball night!
And we welcome in now a third fantastic personality to this show. He is the BYU radio analyst for men's basketball. The fabulous Mark Durrant is back on the show. Mark, how are you this wonderful morning on a day where BYU plays a huge game?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I always love talking to you guys. You're my favorite guys. You know that. I wish somehow I could be the third amigo of this show, but I'll take what I can get. And 2025 treating me nice. I think this is going to be the year of Mark. And so things are going well.
I love the lamp. I love the Pez that you have in the room. How are the goats doing, by the way? Don't rub the lamp, Mark.
It's a menagerie here at the Durrant. We got a couple goats, and you two have both been privileged to meet the goats, and there's no short of excitement at the Durrants. With if you like Pez, if you like leg lamps, if you like goats, we got it all.
All kinds of stuff. I love it. I love hanging out at your house.
Menagerie is the right word.
The summer barbecue is always a hit.
Okay, we do need to ask, because we just came through the holiday, and because you have the greatest Pez collection probably in the western half of the United States, did you ask for any specific unique Pez dispenser this go-around?
So I can't trust anybody to buy me Pez anymore because I have them all. But so I go on and buy them myself, and so I got a big bag of Pez I ordered for myself that I didn't have. So I play Santa to myself to make sure I get the Pez that I need. Listen, this is serious stuff, guys. You don't just let anyone get you Pez. But
Yeah.
if there's anybody out there that wants to send me Pez, though, please do.
My father-in-law has Pez at his pediatrician office, and so I always feel like, can I even get him one he doesn't have? We're talking to Mark Durrant, who still has filing cabinets here on BYU Sports Nation. Mm-hmm. Huge game with Texas Tech tonight, Mark. Like, number 21 in net, 14 in Ken Palm. I don't think people realize how big a game this is, and the response needed from BYU coming off that Houston loss.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we all saw a Houston game. That was rough. I mean, that makes you question a lot of things.
Nobody hugged you at the end of that game like last time.
There was definitely no hugging involved. Listen, I mean, that happens. Anybody that's played sports knows that happens. The concern is it happened at Providence and it happened at Houston. And so you go from maybe thinking it was a one-off or an anomaly to thinking, well, maybe this is a real problem. And so we'll see. BYU will go to TCU Saturday, see how they perform. But now it's about Texas Tech, right? Texas Tech is a very good team. Very similar in a lot of ways to BYU. And so this is a great opportunity to bounce back, to get some confidence back. You can't afford to lose games at home in this conference. I think Texas Tech is a team that is a team that's going to be fighting with BYU for a top half, top third position in the conference. So you don't want to get behind those guys in what you're doing. And when you've got a team at home, you expect to play well and need to play well. I mean, that's all there is to it. You've talked in the show already about how important this game is. But aside from standings, I think it's important for BYU to be on the right track collectively, individually, physically, mentally, to be able to compete at a high level in this conference and to be able to perform better on the road and take care of business at home.
Mark Durrant is on BYU Sports Nation. I was asked primarily two questions following BYU's big loss at Houston. One, what the heck happened, Spencer? And number two, what's going on with Egor Demin? So, Mark, I'm going to ask you the second of those two questions because you kind of already responded to the first. What do you feel like is happening with Egor? We've given our thoughts, post-injury, whatnot, but how are you seeing his play and him being frustrated as he gets used to Big 12 conference basketball?
Well, Egor's got, I mean, imagine being 18 years old, away from home, and everybody's talking about you, and you mentioned all the scouts that are coming, and that's a lot of pressure on a young kid. And as good as he is, he's still developing his game and his body. He's getting pushed around a little bit, and teams know. I just start thinking, how would I scout Egor? And I think what I do is really put a lot of pressure at him at the point, double team him all the time, and then try and force him into shots that make him uncomfortable. And I think Egor is pressing at times. I think he knows what he can do and wants to show everybody what he can do. But sometimes discretion is a better part of valor, and you just try and make your teammates better, which I think he does. I mean, he's been really good. We got to remember he was out for a month, and it's a whole thing. It's a whole. But what I want to see from Egor is I just want to see him have fun out there. I want to see him have confidence and not try to force things. I think if he does that, he's certainly incredibly talented and he's deserving of all the accolades and projections for him. But I think he probably gets in his head a little too much. And I know he talks with other greats like Travis Hansen and others and the coaching staff, and they're trying to reinforce that to him. He just needs to settle down and take a deep breath and just be himself and have fun out there. And I think if he does that, then he'll be very good. But with all that said, I mean, it's critical that he does play well for BYU. I mean, if you're projected to be a lottery pick, then you ought to play like it. And he has at times this year, but recently he's struggled. And I think once he sees a couple threes go down and gets, I see sparks of it. For like 7 or 8 minutes in that Arizona State game, he looked to me like the Egor I'm expecting, and he'll get more and more of those, 10 minutes and 20 minutes and 25 minutes to where he's back to playing an entire game like we need him to and how we expect him to.
There's no way he continues to play like this. He's missed at least 15 threes in a row the last 4 games. I don't know against Ole Miss what he missed. There's no way he continues that way. He's too good. Okay, when you're trying to slow down an elite shooting team like Texas Tech, what are some of the keys defensively?
Well, BYU has gotten a lot better, I think, in the last month or so defensively. I think they've made some real improvements. I think the team is learning how to play what the coach and doing what the coaches want them to do defensively. I thought they've looked pretty darn good. Now, it's one thing to guard teams. It's another team to guard one of the best teams in the country. And so whenever I played against a team that was the best at something, that excited me. I wanted to see what we could do against them, and it was a real challenge. So I hope this team is looking at it that way. We've got one of the best offensive teams in the country coming in here. Let's really get after it. Let's show them that they're not going to have the night that they are used to tonight. They're going to remember tonight. And I think that's a great challenge for these guys, and there's a lot of challenges bouncing back from that win. But this is a fun opportunity to go out and show what you can do, that you belong in the top of this conference, that you're a team to be reckoned with, and you can forget maybe a little bit what happened Saturday night with the big win tonight.
Mark, I know it probably sounds a little bit simple for me to say this, but I did in the early part of the show, and that is I feel like if Egor Demin and Dallin Hall play well, then BYU as a team will play well and will win a lot of games. Is it that simple? Because both of those guys I feel like are trying to find their footing individually, and they haven't had a ton of time to play on the court together. So how do you see that relationship and how it translates to what BYU basketball does overall in the grand scope?
Well, listen, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. They've both been underperforming, and that's a compliment that I say that to them, because I've seen them how good they are, and they're not playing as good as they can play. And maybe part of that is that they're figuring each other out and having to play together. I mean, that's an interesting dynamic, and they haven't had a lot of games together to figure that out. What I'd like to see more from Dallin is to be more aggressive, really put his head down and get to the rim and be a threat and, create problems for defenses with pressure and getting to the basket. And Egor the same. I think they're being a little bit too passive and need to find a way to make it happen. Now, whether they have to, maybe the answer is to let Dallin have the ball in his hands a little bit more, to take the pressure off Egor and have Egor be play the wing a little bit more, or play them separately more, and let Dallin do his thing and yet Egor do his thing. I don't know, but that combination hasn't worked out quite as I'd hoped yet. But it's still early; they're still figuring each other out. But definitely, those two have underperformed recently, and I expect more from them. I know they expect more from themselves, and if we get more from them, that's going to really help this team.
What's the urgency to win tonight, given that BYU probably doesn't want to dip below 500? You're going on the road to TCU. What's the importance of tonight's game?
Well, massively important. I mean, the home games are so critical, and it all depends on what you want to do. I mean, obviously, if you want to be a top 3 or 4 team in this conference, you've got to take care of business at home, and you've got to beat good teams in this conference. And so, if you want that, then it's critical. And if you're if you want to get middle of the pack, then maybe it's not as critical. But still, you don't want to go 1-2 and have to go on the road again where you haven't played well. Maybe go 1-3. That's really putting yourself behind the 8 ball. And so, my expectations, I want this team to be one of the best teams in the conference, and I want them to take care of business and beat teams that they should and beat teams at home. And this is one of those games. So if they don't do that, I'll be very disappointed. And I think we'll show that this team may not have what it takes to be a top team. They can certainly make the NCAA tournament and do other things, but if you're a great team and you're going to be at the top of the Big 12, you better win at home in a game like tonight.
Well said. Mark, you bring the Pez tonight, and Jarom and I will bring a very small amount of swagger if we can muster that up.
We'll bring the appetite.
Listen, I like BYU basketball, but my favorite things about the games is I get to hang out with Spencer and Linton a little bit, and Jarom occasionally when he deigns to, grace us with his presence. I like to hang out with him too.
Mark, always good to talk to you, my friend. Be well. We'll see you tonight.
See you, Mark.
I love you. Love you guys. You're the best. Thanks for all you do. Thanks.
Hey, love you too.
All love, brother. Mark Durrant, one of our favorites for good reason, and not sugarcoating anything. Like, guards need to play better.
Got to win tonight.
Got to win tonight.
Yeah, got to win. Huge.